Alright, lads, so let's talk about Arena once more. It's pretty much been the talk of the channel for the last couple of days. That's all I've been talking about, because I think it is worth talking about. It's a very fun mode, but it definitely needs a lot of improvements. And the thing what we talk about today is the score stealing, and good lord, this is the worst mechanic in the game. I like it and dislike it. It really depends on the situation. For the most part, I like sometimes I like the back and forth action. Us stealing their score, they're stealing our score, and it comes down to like who just has the highest score the last second. But the problem is, when you do steal their score in like the last 10 or so seconds, it extends the time. And what that means, and especially when you're going against good players that are using the best characters you can possibly use, they're all ranked 10, they have the 10 plus buffs, so they're essentially one-shotting the boss like you're seeing in this gameplay. It essentially means we're going to be stuck doing this for half an hour. 20 minutes, bro! Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm almost certain, and I'm not throwing shade at Klab, I don't think anyone at Klab are good enough to get to this point, but this definitely needs to change. These matches have no right to be going on for like half an hour. Now here's a screenshot, shout out to Sonoxy and Gator, they were actually in a game for an hour! Let me get down to the headlines, an hour, fam. And then the game just randomly closed, and I think everyone just got rewards. There needs to be some kind of mechanic, and I'm going to be posting this in the feedback section. I think everyone should complain about this too. There needs to be some change in the way the score stealing does work, or at the very least, there needs to be some kind of mechanic to be put in place when it's non-stop going back and forth, because at that point, the game can just go on forever. And a lot of the games, actually, when I've been going back and forth with my guild mates and we're going against randoms, a lot of the times when we do lose is because the bosses stop spawning because they've been bugged. So essentially it means that we can only kill one boss and then they just outscore us. That's literally just happened right now, and I'm sure in some of the games that we did win, probably the same thing happened to them. But disregarding all the bugs that do exist in this game mode, this mechanic just needs to change. And I know a lot of people are wondering, how do you score still? It's that orange bar at the top. The more you kill, the more you lower their stuff. So eventually, if you're killing all the bosses very quickly, then you're stealing their score. But then when you're both doing it very quickly, you're both one-shotting the bosses, it just goes back and forth for a very long time. And again, it's fun. I like it, but then when it's going on for 20 minutes, it gets ridiculous. Like, the gameplay you're seeing right now is probably on 2 times speed, and I started recording it like halfway through the entire game. So those matches that you are seeing probably lasted us like 15 minutes, and it would have went significantly longer had luck not been in our favor and we actually won by the time it hit 0. So this is absolutely ridiculous. I like the game mode, and I think that if Klab doesn't change this specifically, it's going to get very tedious, because this happens in a lot more games than you might think it does. If you've been playing in the higher leagues or the higher ranks, going against experienced players that know what they're doing, like 9 times out of 10, this is how your game's going to end, by just non-stop back and forth, until pretty much someone decides to stop playing. I actually had the game I think you're seeing right now, one of our players, I think it was a Japanese player, just left, because I don't blame him, because he probably knew that the game was going to go on for like an additional 20 minutes. And I think, personally, for me, the best course of action is to, maybe at a certain point, let's say the 5-minute mark, right? You're going back and forth for 2 minutes, 2 minutes more than you should have been playing the game for. Maybe at that point, give us 30 more seconds. And at that point, cancel the score stealing and just make it so whoever has the highest points wins. That's the best way to do it, because right now, this back and forth with the score stealing is just absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to change.